My name is Tate Center, and I am going to teach what I'm learning in my contemporary math class right now for Texas Tech, which is weighted voting systems. So, when you have a weighted voting system, you have your number right here, which is represented by Q right now, which is your quota. And the quota is the number of votes necessary in this system to get a resolution passed. So when you are looking at voting systems, you obviously need a certain amount of votes to get a resolution passed from what are called weights, and these weights are voters. And so the voters have a certain amount of votes, and these votes need to equal exactly the quota or over the quota to get the resolution passed. So when you're looking at weighted voting systems, you have a regular weighted voting system, and then you have a thing called a dictatorship, which an example of that is if you were to have numbers like 14 and 15 to 1, whatever. So because the first number, 15, is bigger than the quota, this is a dictatorship. Because it runs everything. You don't need anything else to equal 14 because this dictator automatically wins the voting resolution for the entire thing. So here's an example of doing a weighted voting system when we're talking about critical voters. So obviously when you vote in an election, you'll have a certain amount of votes, and some people are considered critical voters because without their vote, that person wouldn't have won. So if you look at this problem and you consider the weighted voting system for a quotient of 5 and then the voters 3, 2, 2, 1. So that'll be A, B, C, D. And those will be the coalitions on the side here. So A, B, C, and D. So obviously A, which is 3, B, which is 2, C, which is 2, and D, which is 1. So first, we're just going to go around the line and kind of figure these out. But when you are looking at this, how many voters do we have? So the voters is not the quotient. I mean, I can see why people get that confused, but the voters is not the number of the quotient. The voters is here right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 voters. And then the quotient, which is this number, is 5. So with that information, so A, 3, B, 2, C, 2, D, 1. So AB, so 3 plus 2 equals 5. AC, 3 plus 2 equals 5. AD, 3 plus 1 equals 4. BC, 2 plus 2 equals 4. BD, 2 plus 1 equals 3. CD, 2 plus 1 equals 3. ABCD, 3 plus 2 plus 2 equals 7. ABD, 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 6. ACD, 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 6. BCD, 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 5. And then all of them, ABCD, which is 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, which equals 8. So, to get this resolution passed and to see the critical voters, it has to be over the quotient or equal to the quotient of 5. So, right now, A does not pass by itself because it's only 3. The quotient is only 3 It's not over 5 to pass the resolution. Same with B. It's only 2, so that doesn't pass. C, only 2. D, only 1. But when we go and we have the letters together, because obviously when we're looking at the coalitions, we go through the whole line. So AB, which equals 5, actually passes. So AB passes with 5. AC also passes with 5. AD does not pass because it only has 4. And then BC also does not pass. BD doesn't pass. CD doesn't pass. But ABC passes with 7. And ABD passes with 6. ACD passes with 6. BCD passes with 5. And ABCD passes with 8. So now we're looking at critical voters. So like I said, to get a vote to meet that quota, obviously, you'll have a critical voter to equal that quota. So when we're looking at AB, so to get 5, it is really critical that you have A, which is the 3, but it's also really critical that you have the 2, because if without B, it would just be 3, and without A, it would just be 2. So the critical voters here are actually both A and B. And that is the same for A and C, because obviously it's the same numbers. You can't hit the quota without both of those numbers. So it's A, C. So now going down and looking at these bigger letters, so A, B, C. So when you look at it here, do we need C to be in there to meet the quotient of 5? I'll write the quotient here. Well, no, we don't, because without C, we already have 5. So because that is the last letter, we don't need C, so the essential ones are actually just A and B to get 7. Well, to get 5. And then ABD, 6. Well, same goes here. I mean, we don't really need 1, because we meet 5 alone with the AB. So we don't need the 1. So those are both critical voters to pass. So we need both of those. And then we have ACD. Same goes here. We do not need 1. We already have 5. So A and C passes with what it has now. And then when we go down, so 2 plus 2 would equal 4. So 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 5. So to meet the quotient of 5, well, we already did. So obviously all of these are critical voters, because without one of their votes, we would not meet the quotient. So the critical voters here would be B, C, and D. And then going down to the biggest number of all, A, B, C, D. So with all those letters, to see which one, what is really important here. So with just A and B, we have 5. So do we need 2 and 1? Well, no, we don't, because 8 is higher than 5, and we already meet the quotient here. So in reality, the only essential voters would be A and B, because we don't need the 3 to get to 8, because we already have enough already. So when you're looking at critical voters, that is how you figure that out. And definitely can be kind of a difficult concept, for sure. It took me a minute to understand, but I understand it, and I'm here teaching it to you guys. So don't forget, this is always the quotient. I think that's the most important thing. It's definitely the most important thing for me, because I feel like in any other situation, you see this big number, this 5 right here, or even go up to this example, and you see this 14, and there's a colon between it, so you think, okay, well, that must be, the number of voters, because if you look at other mathematical equations, a lot of times they'll separate the number of people by doing that. But no, it's not the number of voters. That is actually the quotient. And the voters are here because these are the weights. So this is voter A, voter B, voter C. And the weights, obviously, you plug them into the table like that. But thank you for listening to me teach you guys about weighted voting systems. I hope that made sense, and hope everybody has a good week.